I love Syracuse, and I would love to be the guy that replaces Coach Boeheim one day.
A change of plans for assistant coach Mike Hopkins, parting ways with the Orange to head west instead.
From WSYR TV Syracuse in high definition, this is News Channel 9 Weekend.
Good evening, I'm Tammy Palmer. After spending 21 years as an assistant coach for the Orange and the designated head coach in waiting, Mike Hopkins is leaving Syracuse. A big story on the Hill today. And News Channel 9's Sal Manine has been gathering as many details as he can for us. First, what a major change for even the current team.
Oh, without question, Tammy. This is a man who has spent nearly his entire adult life here in Central New York, and now he's leaving Syracuse, the program that he played for, the program, as you said, he spent 2 decades coaching, and the program that he was slated to take over. Mike Hopkins is heading back to the West Coast. Earlier today, Hop named the head coach at the University of Washington. Hopkins, of course, was born and raised in California. He first came to Syracuse as a player back in 1988. After 5 seasons playing for Jim Boeheim, Mike Hopkins joined his coaching staff in 1996. Hop was there for the 03 national title and a total of 3 other Final Fours. Less than 2 years ago, Hopkins was officially named Jim Boeheim's successor and was scheduled to take over for his mentor in 2018 after the next basketball season. Syracuse University has still yet to comment on today's news, meaning we still do not know how that whole plan is affected.
And I think that's the big question. I mean, what happens now? We expected Coach Boeheim to be stepping down. We thought Hopkins would be stepping up. So does Boeheim stay? Does he go? What happens?
And that's it. That's the $64,000 questions. There's really 2 major arenas, though, that are impacted by Hopkins' departure. First, Mike Hopkins is SU's lead recruiter. He's considered one of the best recruiters in the entire country. Hop is credited with bringing in the likes of Johnny Flynn, Rakeem Christmas, Michael Carter-Williams, Hakeem Warwick, even Jerry McNamara. So already the Orange is losing a key component to keeping things chugging along and recruiting top flight talent. Then, of course, the Jim Boeheim question. Now, the original plan laid back in 2015 after the basketball program was sanctioned by the NCAA was for Boeheim to coach 3 more seasons, then retire. That would mean this upcoming year, the 2017-2018 season, would be Boeheim's last. Back in June of 2015, SU Chancellor Ken Severud officially named Mike Hopkins the head coach designate. Hop, of course, filled in for Boeheim last year when the Hall of Famer was suspended 9 games by the NCAA as part of the sanctions. Since that initial 2015 announcement, though, the Orange has changed athletic directors twice, and we've seen reports trickle out from ESPN and Sports Illustrated that Jim Boeheim does wish to keep on coaching beyond 2018. So the future of SU men's basketball, at least right now, has a whole lot of unanswered questions, very big unanswered questions. Now, just to give everyone an idea how big a surprise today's news is, we turn to News Channel 9's Mario Sacco. He's got more on how big a loss Mike Hopkins is for SU Hoops.
I love this place. I just think that sometimes if someone wants to talk to you, sometimes you gotta listen.
In 1988, Mike Hopkins came to Syracuse all the way from California as a player under Jim Boeheim. 3 decades later, Hopkins now leaves a program that he was set to take over.
It's just a question of what he wants. That's what's really important. What I want is not important. It's what Coach Hopkins wants to do is what's important.
He looks to just go.
That was Jim Boeheim a few years ago when Southern Cal came calling for its prodigal son. USC was one of many schools that tried to poach Hopkins away. In recent years, Hop was up for head coaching jobs at Oregon State, Boston College, Rhode Island, and St. Bonaventure. But until now, he's always stayed true to his SU roots.
I'm Syracuse through and through. I mean, it was nice. I'm one of those guys who's constantly trying to learn and to be able to go through an experience and see what else is out there. But, you know, the funny thing is whenever you see what else is out there, there's nothing better than this place.
And Coach Hopkins' 21 years certainly backs that up. He was the lead recruiter at SU, bringing in guys like Rakeem Christmas, Michael Carter-Williams, Hakeem Warwick, and even Jerry McNamara.
Everybody knows that Mike Hopkins is a great coach. He's a great recruiter. His passion is, as high as anybody has ever been around. So, he's had a way with being able to leave lasting impressions. It's part of his gift.
Hi, I'm BJ.
Is it Robert or Bobby?
After a while.
It's Robert Bobby, or Ricky Bobby. Robert Bobby.
He's been working very hard for the past 17, 18 years, not only as a coach, but he played here. We got somebody that knows what it takes to win, that bleeds orange.
Well, now that process begins to find Mike Hopkins' replacement, but the biggest question remains as to what is next for Jim Boeheim's future. In the Orange Nation studio, Mario Sacco.
All right, thank you, Mario. And while we wait on the university's response, we have heard from one SU official. News Channel 9 sports director Stephen Fonte is in Connecticut with the SU women. He asked Coach Q for his thoughts about the change.
Well, the news of Mike Hopkins' departure spread very quickly here throughout Gamble Pavilion, just as Gino Auriemma and the UConn Huskies were set to begin their scheduled press conference. Shortly thereafter, Quentin Hillsman and the SU women arrived for their media responsibilities, and I asked Coach Q for his reaction to Hop's move out west.
Obviously, you're always happy when someone make a move on to obviously become a head coach, and really happy for Hop. Hop's the best. As long as I've been there, Hop's been there, so it's gonna be weird walking down the hallway and not having Hop, with his jokes or laughing. And Hop's the best. I don't know. We can do this for like a half hour, right? but he's a great coach. He's done a lot for the university. He's been there doing national championship runs. But obviously, the program is in good hands. Coach is still there, and he's the master. He gets it done. He's one of the best in-game coaches in this game, and program still is in good shape. And I know Washington's going to be in great shape too with Hop there.
I followed up with Hillsman by asking if he had any advice for Hopkins as he takes over his own program. Q shared with us a piece of wisdom that Jim Boeheim shared with him when he first arrived on the SU Hills some 11 years ago.
Get some players. That's it. That's the first thing Coach told me. I walked in his office, asked him a question about basketball. He said, son, go get some players. I said, I'll be back.
Well, Q has the players now to get to the Final Four. We saw that last year. But does he have the players needed to compete with UConn? We'll find that out tomorrow night. More on this matchup coming up in sports. For now, reporting inside Gamble Pavilion in Storrs, Connecticut, Stephen Fonte, News Channel 9 Sports.